Daisy Haggard plays Allie Worsley in the FX comedy Breeders. Now, your character, she kind of loses her cool in the second season premiere when she cancels her son's birthday party. But I was surprised that we didn't see more fallout from that event. What was your response to that storyline, and what do you think it meant?
Well, I think it's just something that parents do quite a lot, which is you have to you make a big statement and then you panic and think that maybe you've made the wrong statement, and how are you going to gently backtrack. So I feel like as a parent it's something that felt quite familiar, really. It's territory I've been in. I've threatened, made a big threat to my child and then gone, oh gosh, I don't actually want to follow through on this. So I just, it felt just very familiar to me.
And how relatable do you find the content overall? Because I understand the kind of line about how uh, it takes a harsher look at parenting, but then at the same time, I think it is exaggerated in that Child Protective Services isn't always getting involved, or aren't always punches being thrown about and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is in the end fiction, right? But what I suppose it is it's what I loved about the show is it's the other side of parenting. So it is taking the darker sides and the edgier side of parenting, and the things that, and admitting some things that I think parents find really, really hard that we don't always talk about. And then there is the fact that it's fiction and it is a TV show. So, it's not entirely, entirely naturalistic, but there's a very real and gritty tone to it that just really, really appealed to me.
Yeah, and this is based on an original idea by Martin Freeman, as it says in the credits. Have you been able to contribute any of like your own ideas or your own experiences?
No,
No.
I need to get in the writers room. But my kids are, much younger. So I in the first season, this show's always been ahead of me in a way. Like it's always just I've just been looking ahead at it, going, oh gosh, is that what's coming? Oh no. So the first season I had very, like, even younger children than the first season children, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, are they still going to be up all night when they're 8? And now and now I look ahead and think, oh my gosh, teenagers, that's quite an intense thing. That's coming. How am I going to cope with that?
What about, since you do have your other show in which you are a writer, you're producing it, uh, like, are you able to reach out to the writers on this show and say, like, hey, I have this other skill set,
Well,
or?
no, my point really is I don't know what I could offer, because my kids are too young and they're really brainstorming the moments that are very specifically related to the age of the child. But yeah, I mean, listen, guys, if you're watching, I'm always here. I've always got ideas. It's also just actually really lovely doing a show that you haven't written, and just getting the joy of opening a fresh script and not knowing what's going to happen, and none of the stress that comes with creating your own show. You get this beautiful gift of these really, really well written scripts, and you get to just get your teeth into playing a really brilliantly written part.
So what would you say was your arc for the second season?
It's very difficult to talk about that without giving. I've been so drilled in to not give anything away, but because of the no, I know. So I've got this drilled in thing. But I would say that what I really loved about the second season in terms of the character journey is that I feel like, if the first season put them through stressful, rocky situations, this one doubles that. And so I think that Ali in this season, she really does go on a big journey of within her relationship, within her parent, within how she parents, but within her relationship, and how her and how her and Paul cope with all the things that are thrown at them. And it ends in quite a sort of strange and sad way for them, I think. So she's just trying desperately to keep her family together, and I think that there's so much love and so much joy despite all the anger and all the sort of the free way that we sort of handle the grittier side. There is also a lot of love in that family, and so I think for her it becomes a real journey of trying to keep everybody together, and to have, and also fundamentally make a choice of having to support her son more than her husband, which is something that I think most parents would end up having to do.
Yeah, I feel like I'm starting to lose track of her relationship with Paul a bit, or maybe it's just becoming more gray. I'm wondering, do you think that she's especially surprised by his actions, or is this kind of more what she signed up for?
I think that I think they really understand each other. There's a real understanding between them. But I think that, like in most relationships, there's a point where somebody crosses a line, or there's things that happen repeatedly in a relationship, and you think, oh gosh, not again, and it gets harder and harder to forgive or to cope with. So I feel like in this season they do slightly divide. They divide more than they have, but I do think that fundamentally there's a real love there, which is sort of why I like the show so much, because you don't have, you can divide. Life is a long, and life can be hard, and relationships are complicated, and there are periods where you can be incredibly close and happy, and periods which are much more difficult. And I think that's a really lovely portrayal of a grown-up, complicated relationship with millions of challenges.
And what about why doesn't she want him to do cocaine?
Well, I mean, she probably doesn't want her husband to do any cocaine.
I think that's kind of the thing where it's like I can't tell. Like, is this the kind of thing that she's normally on board with, and that's why he's asking, or
Oh, right. Well, I felt like she was just like, oh no, please don't do that. Like, that hasn't happened in our lives for years. Why would you do that now? And what's that going to mean for my night's sleep? And what does it mean about us sleep, us living slightly separate lives? I think it's that thing of, your partner going off and bonding with their friend again. And I think that because they're not that connected, she feels quite a bit like, oh, okay, please don't go and have a whole other life tonight, because they're not entirely in the closest place. But also, like, she probably doesn't want him to do any cocaine either. Which I
how do you
think,
think she? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said, which is fair enough.
What about how do you think she came to work at her recording studio?
um, I don't know. That's just, I think. I mean, I think that the writers I know, which we're trying, when we spoke about this, we're thinking about what would be a really interesting job for a female character in a series, and something they hadn't really seen before. And it's true, it's normally quite a male job. So I think they thought it'd be really interesting for her to have a job that was, that was that, which I love, because I get to sit at these amazing desks and press all the wrong buttons. But I think she's an ambitious character, and she's, her like work life balance is something she's constantly struggling with, but she's really cares about her job. And I think she probably, met Darren, and they started to work together, and he really had faith in her because she's intelligent and good at what she does.
Yeah, it's at least a source of comedy with the sound effects.
Yes, it's really good. It's really good for that. And also, as I said, I get to play with lots of big buttons, which is fun.
So you were nominated for a BAFTA for the first season for this role. I'm wondering if you know what episode you submitted for judging consideration.
I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know what was submitted. No.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know. I'd love to know, actually. But yeah, I was completely surprised and delighted about that. I was really thrilled. It's my first time.
Yeah, you got that nomination, and then last year your other show, Back to Life, was nominated for the International Emmy for Best
Yes.
Comedy Series. That one you wrote, created. You've been doing this for 20 years. You've got 60 credits, and this is really your first awards recognition. Can you
No,
tell me about that
totally.
journey?
Yeah, well, that's what's so lovely. I think you get to a point where you just think, oh, you don't expect anything like that. So it's just a complete, you really get to the point where you're just like, oh, that's not going to happen. That's fine. And then you get, to get a nomination is just it's so thrilling and exciting. And because you don't have the expectation, it's sort of extra exciting, if that makes sense. Yeah, I was really pleased. I've been working for a long, long time and never, yeah. And so it's a lovely feeling to feel like some of your work's recognized. It's really lovely.
What about where's the second season of Back to Life? Because I think that was renewed back in 2019.
Well, I am editing it from my bedroom because I have moved house and don't have a study. So I am editing it as not as we speak, but I have been doing it today. That would be weird. It wouldn't be very good. But yeah, no, I'm editing it at the moment. So I'm hoping it will be with you as soon as we can possibly get it ready.
Okay, and what do you have to say about that, the plot at all?
Well, it's that 6 weeks later. Sorry?
Or the tone, yeah.
Well, it's set 3 weeks later, and the second season of Back to Life, and it's a direct continuation of events in the first season. We thought a lot about how we could continue it because it sort of completed in its own way the first season. But I really I had a very clear idea about where we wanted the story to go, and it's the same dark and sort of dark and funny and slightly mysterious tone as the first season, and lots of mystery and awkward scenarios. A coming of age meets sort of, what is it? How do I describe it? It's like a dark, mysterious coming of age comedy. It's all of the things. It's a big mess.
Excellent. Now, it's more theoretical for the second season. So if you were nominated for another BAFTA, or if you're nominated at the Emmys this summer, is there a particular episode from the second season that you think showcases your best work?
I think oh, that's difficult. I'm trying to think. Maybe the episode, I can't remember what number it is, the one about the IVF journey, episode 5, I suppose. That's where I had, I can't remember what number it is. That's where I had a really strong, a really sort of big juicy story. I mean, loads of it so beautifully written. They're such clever writers. But there was one which really explored, was it 7? I can't remember. But it really explores IVF and the journey. You know, there's a few around there which is all about IVF and about a moment where she's tempted away from her husband, where I feel that they really go quite deep into the exploration of a woman struggling to come to terms with premenopause, her marriage difficulties, and the complications of being a parent.
What do you think you learned about being an actress in the second season?
Sorry?
Or how do you think you grew as an actress in the second season?
Well, I think it's really lovely when you've done a season of something before, so you live in the character a bit more. You don't analyze it in the same way, if that makes sense. So there's a sort of comfort and it's like when you return to the set, you don't have to do the first few weeks where you're going, oh, who am I, what am I doing? You're not finding it, you found it, and then it's about just sitting in it, resting in it, relaxing into it, and letting the character sort of become a bit stronger and grow. And I think that's a really lovely thing about the chance to go back and tell these stories again and again.
And how is it adjusting to your replacement children?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I mean, they're amazing, they're so good. I missed the little ones, but we got to see them too, so that was lovely. But it was really interesting because they're so good, and suddenly you could do these great big meaty scenes with these kids. You know, you could actually do just really, like, you know, 3 or 4 page scenes and they wouldn't make a single mistake, and you'd be the one making the mistake going, oh, this is the other way around. So it was you know, you have to get to know them. I love kids. I love, you know, I'm an aunt to like 13 children, so I mean, I love kids and of all ages. So I always really look forward to meeting young adults and children. So we got on immediately, and then we got the chance to play really good storylines with them, which was great.
Okay, and finally, how was it coming back during the pandemic? Like, I'm wondering if you know about anything that had to be changed to accommodate that.
Well, I mean, there was just so much thought that has to go into that. That's basically the situation, is that you know, the amount of organization and planning that goes from the production side of shooting a show in the pandemic. I know because I just had to shoot Back to Life as an exec producer in the pandemic now, exactly how hard it would have been for them to arrange, because it was also quite early. So you're having to think about how you shoot scenes with, you know, with more people. You know, it's just so much thought, but I didn't have to think about it. Thankfully, I could just trust a very, very strong and intelligent team to sort it out for me, and I just turned up. Albeit
Okay.
fully tested and masked and sanitized.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, Daisy, thanks very much for taking the time to chat today with Gold Derby, and yeah, we hope to see these future seasons and you at more awards.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you. Thank you.